David's going to be talking with us today about an update to and to bust myths about asterisks. So he's going to bust all of our myths about asterisks. He's going to remind everyone that we're all on the same side of open source communications. His talk is titled Asterisk Update and Open Source Love. So let's get some free love with David Duffett and give him a big, warm ClueCon round of applause.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. What I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about sharing and community, then talk about Asterisk 14, 15, and 16. 16 is not out yet. That will probably come out around October time this year. And then I've dredged up some slides from some time ago that I did a presentation called Asterisk MythBusters, because it struck me that for whatever reason, there might be people that hadn't kept up to date with what had been going on in Asterisk, and I'll just kind of provide an update and bust a few myths. But first, following a successful airing of this at ComCon in the UK, I wanted to do some geometric testing. Are you all willing to play along with me for just a minute? I'll take that as a yes. Okay, so it's very easy. Of course, we've been here a couple of days now, 3 days, I think, and this gives you an opportunity to just get to know your fellow participants a little bit better. So it's very simple. All you have to do is pick a shape. It's that simple. You pick a shape. Has everybody got a shape in mind? Only one? And go with whatever comes to mind first. Don't overanalyze this. Okay, so who are the triangles? Keep your hands up. Have a good look around at the other triangles, because what this tells you is that they are the directed and ambitious people. It's the shape. It says it all. You know, they know where they're going and they know how to get there. They've probably got a bit of a plan on the go of how to achieve those goals as well. Thank you very much, Fred. I thought you'd be a triangle there. Top class. Okay, who are square people? Don't be frightened. There's nothing wrong with being a square. Those are the detailed, conscious and precise people. They like to colour right up to the lines and get everything just right. Does that sound right, sir? Exactly. Okay, who were the circles? Usually a lowish circle count. Keep your hand up. Have a good look round, because these are the people. Not only are they good at the tech, but they can actually communicate to other human beings. You know, some technical people actually live in the darkened corner of the office, don't they? And kind of speak in hex. These are not those people. They can indeed communicate with others. And lastly, the wiggly lines. Who are the wiggly lines? Goodness me, not that. Keep your hands up, guys. And keep them up while I hit, because wiggly line people usually have an unhealthy obsession. No, keep your hands up. It's either with Taylor Swift, Tom Cruise, or occasionally open source communication. Yeah, it would be open source community. Okay, at least we get to know each other just a little bit better now. That's nice. Fortunately, this talk is applicable to all groups. You'll be pleased to hear that. So, what I wanted to talk about is asterisk, but I'll start with a proverb, an ancient Chinese proverb. Tell me and I'll forget, show me and I may remember, but involve me and I'll understand. And isn't that the nub of open source, being able to get involved and therefore understand what is going on a little bit better? And to communicate is really to share. And I'm sure you'll be aware of Mark Spencer, the original sharer of Asterisk back in 1999. I won't go through all the stuff because I'm sure you know the story there. And then there's Jim Dude Dixon, the original sharer of the Zapata telephony project. And I'm sure you all know about that as well, those early cards. But what I did want to do was just mark Dude's passing. He passed in last year, early 2017. And that man left a legacy, didn't he? You know, exactly. Exactly. So that was Dude. He invented that original Tormentor card. Look, it's an ISA back in the day. ISA card there. So community, what's that all about? Well, people generally have a longing to belong. People like to get together, as is witnessed by events like this. And I think you can distill community down into three things: support, encouragement and accountability. Well, support, as you know, comes through community. It comes through forums, comes through... By the way, never move in with somebody you meet on IRC. That's just an extra little piece of advice from the community side. Then there's encouragement, there's getting together. And look at that fine example of a man on the right-hand side there, Jersey Mike there. We got him in the photo especially. And accountability, things like the issue tracker and who's looking after what and the bug marshalling and all of that kind of stuff. And so within the Free Switch projects and the Asterisk projects, we have this support, accountability, encouragement and accountability. A little bit more community stuff. Last year was Tony's first year at Astricon. Speaking there, and that was a landmark for us. And it was also the first year we got the leaders of all the major open source communication projects in one place. They participated in a panel, and then we had a little photo opportunity afterwards. So that was nice. And I also wanted to tell you that this here, ClueCon this year is an official stop on the crazy Asterisk road trip that I started in June, on June the 30th in Key West, Florida, and we're going to end up in Anchorage, Alaska. And so if you'd like a crazy Asterisk road trip sticker, I have those available. I'm sure you would. Okay, so a little bit about Asterisk. I'm sure you know most of this stuff, but I just want to bring you up to date. Started off in 1999, and as you know, people like Brian and Tony and Mike and all these people worked on Asterisk for a certain period of time. And then in 2017, we released Asterisk 15. And it would have traditionally been an LTS, a long-term supported release. However, there was so much new stuff in it that the decision was taken that we couldn't really do that. Didn't want to put the LTS kind of letters next to it. And so what we did was we extended the life of Asterisk 13 as an LTS version and then went away to work on the next part of the deal. So Asterisk 13 is in extended LTS life. And what we did was build on Asterisk 12. And Asterisk 12, we had the new SIP stack. So as you know, Mark Spencer wrote the original Chan SIP, and then lots of people contributed to it. But it was a rather large monolithic chunk of code. And it had the habit of if you twiddled with something on this side of it, you might break something on that side of it. And so we wanted something that was a bit more modular. And so we had a look at the available open source SIP stacks out there, and PJ SIP was the one that we chose. Also introduced a new API, the ARI, the Asterisk RESTful interface, that presents a RESTful interface to people to get into the middle of Asterisk, and introduced a new bridging model as well at that stage. Then in Asterisk 14, well, the list is there, the DNS overhaul, enhanced ARI media manipulation. And one thing I would like to do is point you, if you want to learn more about Asterisk and what's currently going on, is to the wiki. It's one of those wikis that's actually got stuff in it. You know, occasionally you go to a wiki and it's slightly devoid of content. Well, this wiki has got a lot of stuff in there, a lot of good stuff. And in fact, when I'm personally fiddling around with Asterisk, often I will go ahead, because I have the privilege of being able to talk to the core developers, I'll go and ask them, and they will very graciously point me to the page on the wiki where the exact question I was asking had already been answered. So it's a good source of information. In Asterisk 15, we went to work on doing some foundational work for the future, but some of the visible additions were some enhancements for WebRTC support, the ability to more explicitly get hold of different streams, and the big one there at the bottom, the video selective forwarding unit that we built into Asterisk 15 at that stage. As you know, with video, it's always been a key user of resources, and it can be quite resource intensive. Of course, there's a number of different ways of doing video. MCU is one of them, but there's already an excellent MCU out there in the open source domain, and so we went in the SFU direction. And as you know, an SFU, a selective forwarding unit, what that allows us to do is to distribute the individual video feeds to each endpoint. And then it's the endpoint that becomes the arbiter of how to render that. So if you want one picture particularly bigger, or you want them in the Brady Bunch style, you can do that because it's the responsibility of the endpoint rather than the responsibility of the thing in the middle. It's explained a little bit there. These slides will be available, by the way. So what else was new in Asterisk 15? Platform improvements of various sorts. And WebRTC in particular, we'd got to a stage where the settings for WebRTC were getting quite onerous in terms of all of the different ones that there were. And a lot of the time they could be done in one place. And so we added in the facility to do that and make it easier for people to use Asterisk and WebRTC together. We also bundled PJ Project, because when we adopted it, we gave people the option of loading it up separately, but PJ SIP is where the future of SIP in Asterisk lies, and so now it's a part of the package that you download and install. Okay, yes, there's the WebRTC thing that I was talking about. The endpoint option in Res PJ SIP, it combines a number of different settings into one place there. Okay, and we also supported, added support for a thing called Bundle, which is bringing things together. And we'd like to recognise the people that contributed to Asterisk 15, and we can see there's 924 individual commits, and there's a little hall of fame for some of the people outside of Digium that contributed to that. So we'd like to recognise those folks at Astricon as well. So what's coming next? Well, having put the SFU functionality into Asterisk, there's some more work to be done to flesh out the APIs for that. There's also improving our video resilience in poor network conditions, because poor network conditions do still exist out there when you look around in real life. They do come up every now and again. And to improve performance in PJ SIP. How many people were at Astricon last year in this small and select group? A handful of people. Somebody did a very interesting talk comparing PJ SIP to Chan SIP in terms of efficiency, load testing and all of that kind of stuff. And that was quite an interesting talk, and it gave rise to some internal discussions about how we could improve performance. And so that's as a result of that. So if you are using Asterisk, and I know there are people that use FreeSwitch and Asterisk, for different parts of the puzzle that they're solving. 11 should not really be used anymore. That was already in security fix-only mode and is now off in terms of support. Asterisk 15 is not an LTS, but 16, and I'll talk about that, will be in a moment. I'll talk about it in a moment, but 16 will be an LTS. So the wiki, I wanted to point you to that. There's lots of important information, and there's lots of individual sections. So if you wanted to know what was new in each individual release, the wiki has that in very good detail. So part of the presentation now where we just bust a couple of myths that people might still have in their minds. So this was a presentation I did some time ago, and I just wheeled out a couple of slides from it to add in. And there was a lot of myths out there at the time, but the myth I wanted particularly home in on is Asterisk will not scale for high call volumes. Of course, that depends on what you call high call volumes. Back in the day, people used to struggle with the concept of putting a single T1 or a single E1 in one box. But of course, we've moved on from there. You can use Asterisk as a building block with other technologies, and I'll have a diagram on that in a moment. But just to give you an idea of the highest number of calls you can get on a single Asterisk box. So this is not a cluster of boxes. This is not a farm of service. This is one Asterisk box. Who would have a go about the highest number of calls that you could get? Any guesses out there? Yes, sir. 200. Okay. Anybody further up the scale than 200 there? 3,000. Okay. Anybody further? Yes, sir. 4,000. We're going up in slow increments here. Fred. 14,000. Okay, Fred's just gone slightly over the top. The official answer was 11,500 calls with media through a single Asterisk box. Yes, Brian? Brian? Excellent. I was just about to get to that part. It wasn't Asterisk that topped out at the 11,500 calls. It was the gigabit Ethernet that filled up with A-Law audio at that stage. Thank you very much for that, Brian. Yeah, so 11,500 calls. That's actually a historic figure from a few years ago. I don't know whether anybody has done any of those kind of tests. That was Ulle Johansson, for those of you who know Ulle from the Asterisk and SIP community. Another example of a configuration is using Asterisk, or of course FreeSwitch, with Chameleo or Open SIPs as the SIP server, and that allows you to build very large scale and highly redundant and resilient systems. And to give you another example, this one's connected up in the Philippines. It's connected up on E1 links using SS7. I personally worked with this company, not on this particular project. We did one that dumped 3 million calls on unsuspecting Filipino mobile users to help them understand what the next hit from the record company was going to be, whether they wanted it or not, which is very nice of us. But this particular one, 56 million calls a week is handled by this system. So, we're talking relatively large numbers here. Okay, so notable deployments around the place. The City of Amsterdam, they went with Asterisk for 23,000 endpoints over there. As a university in Texas, that has 10,000 plus users. That's mainly for mailboxes, I think. And actually, one that's not on there is BT in the UK. I'm sure anybody that's done business with the UK will have heard of BT. Well, BT, internally to their network, use 50,000 Asterisk mailboxes on account of them not really wanting to pay the Cisco Call Manager license fees. So they're power users there. And then over in Malaysia, a KL-based company, they concocted a system to support 130,000 users and 10,000 concurrent calls. That's for military applications. Okay, so those myths are officially busted. They're done. So we're fostering growth, and of course we're partnering with all sorts of different projects like Camelio, represented here, OpenSIPs, Homer. Is there a Homer talk on the schedule this time, Brian? I didn't know. Okay. No, but that's a project to keep a look at. I also want to talk about the A phones, the new Asterisk series phones. Digium have had phones out there that work with Asterisk and have all sorts of extra goodies in with Asterisk for some time. However, they have a price tag at a certain level, which most people consider at the high end. And so we were aware that people who are deploying Asterisk, and of course FreeSwitch, often are looking at a more budget end, a more budget-friendly price tag. And so we've got a range of phones. There's 4 phones. There's one of each on a table out there, and I will be handing them over to Abby tomorrow to give away as part of the exciting draw. So you must make sure you get your tickets in there. But these, just to give you a quick flavour, the bottom of the range phone, the A20, the entry-level phone, it's still a colour display phone, and it has an end-user list price of $59. So these are a budget-friendly line of phones right there. Okay, the other thing I wanted to do is just remind everybody that we are all on the same side. I'm sure we're all aware of some of the history, but as you can see, Tony and Brian are now regular participants in Astricon. I'm very blessed to be here at ClueCon, and really, you know, we're all about disruption. We're all about the open source communications community. So whether you are an Asterisk user, a FreeSwitch user, an OpenSIPs, a Camelio, anybody all 4 of those, by the way? Just one person, all 4 projects. Top class. Okay, a couple of people. Yes, whatever, we are all on that same side. I wanted to tell you about Astricon. Astricon is coming up October the 9th to the 11th. I'm sure Brian's going to be there. Tony will be there. Tony's speaking. And actually, if you wanted to come along, the code in red there, CC2018, will get you a 20% discount off the price of a pass there. And people will be exhibiting and participating. And of course, as ClueCon started out about FreeSwitch, but has developed and grown, so Astricon started about Asterisk and has developed and grown, and we have all of the main open source communications projects represented there. Okay, so I'd like to finish with a quote. To do good is noble, but to tell others to do good is even nobler and slightly less trouble as well. So I hope you're going to keep sharing, because that's what open source and community is all about. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the show. Thank you very much.